Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello there, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 198 of the new series of Cognitive. Can you believe it? And this is a happy week for me because as I record this on Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024, at 6:46 p.m., I am staycationing. So far, pretty darn good. So this is going to be a happy little episode, I hope. Your comments are very welcome. I haven't heard from many people lately, but we are gearing up for CFR 10, so I think that's part of it. And we are all kind of crossing our fingers and rubbing the beads and using the prayer rugs for our buddy Gigi, who's been a little bit under the weather. Gigi, we love you. I'm so pleased you're listening. And yes, we're thinking about you out here in cognitive land. And hope everything is just getting better by the day. And having said that, the rest of you, I'm not hearing from you either. And so please feel free to comment on the blog at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com, or you can go to our group on Ravelry, and there is a link in the show notes for the group. Of course, you may be reading the show notes in the group. I know, it all goes in circles. In the meantime, warm thanks. Well, speaking of Gigi, thanks to our Jasmine, because she is really working a turn, and we love you. Just want to let you know. And thanks to the people who are still signing up for CFR. I believe we're at 33. And I'm waiting on 2 people to pay, but I'm really hoping they're coming. Good news is we should be able to afford the conference room. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And meanwhile, I keep saying over and over about Potchki's doing her Tunisian workshop, and Oink is bringing the hooks. I keep saying that in the notes, and good. And so you can see a lot of information about CFR 10, or CFRX, as our Jasmine calls it, which is getting really close, September 28th. I can't wait! Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath and try to be calm now, because I also have minor panic when I think of it, and there is no reason to. It's all come together perfectly well, and there is the link in the show notes. You'll see the words Cognitive Fiber Retreat 10, 2024. You'll see them in bright red ink near the top, and right next to it, all info is right here with a link. And that will take you to the first post on the information thread on Ravelry, which will tell you pretty much what you need to know. All right, and you know the rest of the drill, $30 per adult. Under 18 is free. We want to teach the young'uns, and you send it to me, Gemma DW, as in dog walk, at PayPal. So it's gemmadw@yahoo.com. This is not refundable at this moment. I'm waiting to see how this goes in terms of paying for the conference room. In the meantime, signups are still open. We got room for a lot more people if you want to come, but you're going to have to get your message to me. You have to get your payment to me, please. And the information on booking from the hotel is right there in the show notes. And then there's the information on all the group projects. We have a Tunisian theme, we have a steeking theme, and we have Oink bringing the hooks. And meanwhile, we've got some crocheting for the group projects that are kind of the souvenir projects. You can make it right there and have an instant souvenir of CFRX, that history-making event here in the knitting crocheting world. And that leads me to say we've got Ariane teaching the cross-body bag group, and she's given us a pattern, and it's going to have its own code for anybody who comes to CFRX. You get the pattern for free. Ariane's pattern, which I've seen is amazing, it brings it all together. It tells you two different ways, well, two different widths to do the strap in Tunisian and has instructions on that. It gives you a good solid granny square to use, and she is using a G or an H hook to get her gauge. Now, I tend to go bigger, but she makes the very good point, Ariane does, in the pattern, that you want the gauge to be a little tighter. You want it a little smaller. You don't want holes in your bag. That will stop you from having to put a liner in it. In my bag, yeah, you pretty much would need a liner at any rate. So we're going to do that class as well. Meanwhile, that's one of the projects that you could come and on Friday night you could get your squares done easily. Granny squares take no time at all to make. And also, I just got a Bafo book on granny squares, and I got it on the internet so that I can share it. So you can see all different patterns for the granny squares that you can use. But I would say if you're going to do the bag class, just do the simplest granny square, unless you're going to bring your squares with you pre-made. Do the simplest square just to learn to make the bag. After that, you can branch out into other squares. So that's a G or an H hook. Meanwhile, in terms of group projects, if you want to wooble, I got the stuff, including the basic chick or the basic penguin pattern. And that takes a G as in girl hook and a size 4 yarn, a worsted weight. And if you want to do Abba sock yarn cow, of course, that's a free Ravelry download. Bring a D as in dog hook. And of course, I'm using the American system that's rapidly going out of style, which is a good thing. And that uses letters of the alphabet. Everybody else uses millimeters. And so there is a hook conversion chart right there in the show notes. So please feel free, because remember, we're going to have a yarn exchange table where you can just drop off all your yarn you want to get rid of and pick up new yarn. And we're going to have that for all sizes of yarn will be table number 1. Table number 2, mini skeins of sock yarn only. We want to keep them separate because they let you do special things like, you know, the Abba sock yarn cow. We're also going to have a table for exchanging books, and I think it has been now admitted all things knit and crochet. So if you want to bring your books to the table for exchange, sure. If you want to bring extra hooks, extra needles, boy, a lot of people would appreciate it. If you have extra knitting or crocheting equipment to share, yes, bring it. Anything we don't use, I will cheerfully put in a big old carton, shove it into the back of the Prius of Love, and donate it. There's a million places that would take it. Meanwhile, I can't wait to see you all. I really can't. It's going to be intimate this year. It's going to be a little smaller than it's been. And I think that's due to the fact we're having it in September and not later in the season. The weather will still be warm. We are in Southern California. I think we do better with these things in sweater weather. But this year I need to watch the calendar to see who I would be competing with in October and November. But yes, we will see what we can see. Meanwhile, you're all saying, okay, Gemma, enough of that. What's on your hooks and needles? Okay, not enough of that. I've got donations from Cutiful Yarns that I haven't opened. It's killing me because I know last year when I opened her donation, I tried to take it all. And then I had to sort of defang myself and give it back. So I'm sorry, Christina, I should be telling you how grateful I am, but I'm afraid to look because I'm afraid I can't resist. And then we have donations from, I think, 2 or 3 of the Etsy folk I wrote to before Etsy shut that down. So we will have some little goodie bag type things, but I don't want to spend money on buying actual goodie bags. Make your own souvenir. Bring your crochet hooks. Okay, speaking of which, what's on my hooks and needles? Well, I'm in a group on Reddit dedicated to the woobles. There's a few of them. And this one, we just have the nicest bunch of people. And from that group, I created a closed group for the people who, shall we say, have been really good to other people. So we've got this closed group of about 30 people. And we're now doing a Halloween crochet along. And so I started it this week doing Salem, the Purple Halloween Cat, which is a wooble pattern. Now, the nice thing about this cat, if you look at the pictures, I did a few pictures of it. You know, the first stage where you're just making the body with the eyes. And then I have the ears on it. And then I have the whiskers and nose. And the reason I have those 3 pictures, and the last picture is Salem next to the first version of this I made, Minerva. And Minerva, I didn't even have the pattern. I just hacked from pieces of Woobles in the Woobles published book. Okay, that is how easy this is. This is an extremely easy pattern. In terms of beginner patterns, yes. This, along with the penguin, the chick, these are the raw beginner. Anybody can do. From the book, there's the pug that's very, very easy. By easy, I mean, not only are the parts easy to make, but there's very few parts and relatively little sewing. If you're going to wooble, you're going to embroider, and that's really good. There are a lot of no-sew amigurumi, little stuffed animal crochet patterns out there, and they're great. And I mean nothing against them, but one of the great things about doing these little amigurumi animals, and that includes the woobles, is you do have to learn to do some hand sewing. It's two skills in one. Any of you who are old enough to remember that commercial for Double Mint Gum, just pretend you didn't hear that. Okay, but remember, we're here to learn skills. So doing a crochet critter as a beginner where you avoid skills, maybe not your best option. So anyway, you can see a picture there of Salem and her senior cousin Minerva. So she was this week's crochet along for the Halloween Woobles. Next week, I think, is either going to be the bat or I may get brave and do the Frankenstein. But I've got to see if I have enough colors to do Frankenstein. Meanwhile, in progress, the stash toss is at 25 skeins in versus 48 out. I'm about to destroy that record when I go to CFRX. What can I tell you? Meanwhile, I decided for Back to Hogwarts Day on September 1st, I would do the Harry Potter kit that I bought months ago and have just been putting off and putting off. So sadly, he's not done. So there he is. You're a wooble, Harry, as one of my friends said when they saw me posting this. So there is Harry, and you can see when you look at him, he's bald. He looks more like, something out of a supervillain movie or something. He doesn't look like Harry Potter yet, or he looks like Voldemort or whatever. But there he is. And Harry is an interesting one to do because he is easy and he is hard. What is easy about him? All the parts. His parts are very, very easy. You have the egg-shaped body, you have the arms, you have the ears. Now, the egg-shaped body is slightly modified to have a flat bottom, which is a very clever trick where you work through the back loop and then through the front loop. And it works out very, very nicely. It's how they make all the human-type characters like Ken and Barbie and Santa Claus and all that stand up. And it's a very smart little strategy to learn. I'm glad I got this from the kids. Okay, but the thing that makes Harry complicated is his face. You're doing the scar, which is a little hard to see in the picture. It's yellow at the top of his head above his right eye. Looking at him, we see it as his left eye. You can see the little yellow scar there. Scar is very easy to do. It took me a minute to figure out what she was telling you to do there, but it's quite easy. And the glasses are quite easy. The thing about the glasses, they look intimidating, but you see the smile. And on all the Woobles, you make the smile on the face the same way, which is you do a long stitch across one row. It's usually it's 2 stitches wide. But then you bring the needle out a row below between those 2 stitches, and you pull down that line you just made into a curve and stitch through. And it's very easy to do. And you'll understand it if you see it in the pattern. You don't need the video to get it. And the glasses are actually a lot of that. Like you can see if you look at his face, there's the smile I did, and above it there's the bridge of his glasses going over his non-existent nose. That's just the smile reversed. And then the top of the glasses are just smiles above his little beady eyeballs. And the bottoms are just smiles under his beady eyeballs. And the loops around his ears, same thing. It's the exact same logic. So the glasses, they're not really attractive, frankly, but they look much harder than they are. But you have to be patient with this pattern. It's like doing the lion, Sebastian the lion, when you do the mane. It's a very easy thing to do, but you have to just be patient and follow it very precisely. The instructions, you just follow them unquestioningly. And as you go, you'll suddenly see why it works. So all that's left on Harry is, I believe he needs his hair, and he needs his scarf, and he needs his wand. And the scarf is a big nothing. It's just crocheted stripes, no big deal. The wand is a stick. I'm sure that's like 3 stitches. The hair is always interesting when you do amigurumi. And it's one of those things I have not yet learned to make it on my own. I have to follow someone else's pattern. But I was able to do it well enough to use the hair from the Woobles Dumbledore pattern to make a wig for my Mrs. Santa. So you shouldn't be intimidated, is what I'm telling you. That you can sort of make whatever they tell you to make and then fidget it into place and pin it down till you get what you want. So poor little Harry doesn't have his hair yet. And then he gets his hair, his scarf, and his wand, I think in that order if you want to do it. I always do them in whatever order is comfortable for me. But there he is. Meanwhile, I am still working on sock number 1 of the still board socks. These are my latest stripy socks. I meant this to be an ugly sock. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, it's turning out quite handsome. You can see on the foot I'm using Premier yarns in a color called violas or violets. I'm not sure which. And you can see it's purplish stripes. And it happens to be going very, very well with the other strange colored striping sock yarns I picked. And again, I'm just using up all these extra mini skeins I've got. I should be trading them at CFRX, but I got a lot of them at CFRIX last year. And I just love making striped socks. I need to go into my beautiful, beautiful collection of sock yarns. And I need to wind a skein and make these beautiful, tasteful socks. Instead, I just make these striped things. Those are my Franken socks. You know it, I know it. Every Halloween I like to do Franken socks. There they are. The Lakeside Cardigan and Vestuary, I keep telling myself in the next few days I'm going to sit down with them. But I will tell you why I haven't, because I've been obsessive about other things in these first 3 days of my vacation, and it's been wonderful. So no spinning either, because I'm just getting over a cold. And that means I didn't spin this summer as I meant to, and I don't care, because I got so many other good projects on the burners, including CFRX. But this takes us to the strategy. This strategy is a little strange, but I think it's a good strategy for the internet and social media age, and that is intention matters. Please consider intention. I'm saying this because there's a very funny veterinarian in Kentucky, Matt McGlasson, and he has a lovely Instagram feed. And one of the things Dr. Matt does is he adopts these animals that everybody gives up on. So he got a dog, a very expensive pedigree little white dog. I forget what it is. I don't do little dogs, you know. It looks like a Maltese, but I know it's not. But this guy brought it in. It was a puppy. It was dreadfully ill. And the guy said, I'm only spending this much on it. And, you know, it's a nice dog, but I didn't want to spend this kind of fortune. I paid a fortune just to get the puppy. And so then he finally just said, well, you keep it or put it down because we can't fix it. And McGlasson said, well, can I have it? And the guy said, yeah. So, you know, McGlasson, he's got all the facilities. The dog's alive and well with him. And he does a lot of things like that. He has RuPaul, his cat. She's a drag queen. That is, her back legs don't work. So she drags him. So that's his cat, Rue. And he just got a kitten that has this brain disorder. I forget what it's called, and I'm not going to look it up. Where the cat just can't stop shaking and wobbling to a point where the cat really can't walk. And the cat's got this wonderful, crazy name like Princess Nugget Woobles, something or other. Anyway, and he carries the cat around with him in a baby sling because he's trying to give this kitten its best life. And he makes these hilarious videos about these cats. Like he had one where Rue likes to make biscuits with her paws, that is knead, the way kittens do on their mothers to make the mother let down milk. So he did this whole series on how Rue has a bakery and the health department's trying to shut her down and he wants to protest because she needs the work. And, you know, and so the latest is about the crazy things people say to him when he's walking little Nugget around in the baby carrier. And of course, he's making up these deranged things that people do not say to him about being a man carrying a baby kitten around in a baby carrier. And I was really hurt because today he put up a post and he was serious and he said, look, I don't mean to give you guilt if you don't adopt special needs animals. And I'm really sorry. I never meant to make you feel ashamed or guilty. And in the frame, he shows a post from someone who said, we can't all do this. And I thought, what the heck is wrong with that guy posting to him? You know, the guy who commented about you shouldn't make us feel guilty. What is wrong with that person? And, there's poor Matt McGlasson making an apology video because someone is hypersensitive. And I was really sort of shocked by that because it's clear that Dr. McGlasson is just joking and that he's trying to enjoy these pets and he's trying to take them out and have fun with them and let them experience the world. By the way, Rue jumps from the floor up to the top of a cat tree with only her forelegs. This is one rockin' cat. But anyway, it's just very odd that a man like this should have to apologize because people are hypersensitive on the internet. And I really appreciate that he did. But I also appreciate that he shouldn't have to. We do have to understand that people's intention matters. Okay, this is the internet. This is an entertainment medium. We're supposed to be having fun out there. Now, there are other uses. I've seen political organizing going on. That's great. That's great. I choose not to do that on the internet, but I respect it. It's true. I watched the Democratic National Convention on the internet and quite enjoyed it. Okay, but the point is social media, social. We're just having fun. We should be talking to our buddies. It should be a way to enjoy ourselves and to take off stress. And I take off a lot of stress laughing at things like this. I really enjoy Dr. Matt's videos. And no, he doesn't listen to the podcast, and I don't care. I really don't care. Okay? But this is a guy who's going out of his way to rescue animals, to go the extra mile so some of them can have better lives than they might have had. He's taking them in. He's doing things most of us can't rise to. Intention really matters. Please, please, please think of this in your day-to-day life. When people talk to you. Now, of course, I've talked about hypersensitive people because I am one over and over on this podcast, and I'm going to do it again right here. When people talk to you and your feelings get hurt, please step back and look at who this person is. Is this person your friend? Yes. Then they probably don't mean to hurt you. So what just happened if they did? Well, either you misunderstood them, they didn't say what you think they said, and perhaps you're being a little hypersensitive, or perhaps they just said something without realizing it was the wrong thing. But their intention is what counts. Do you want this friendship, or do you want them groveling and begging and apologizing at your feet? Now, I'm not saying you have to swallow this. I'm saying you just say to them, hey, when you said that, I kind of wondered what you meant. Or, hey, I think maybe I'm kind of overreacting. I thought you said this to me and I took it this way. Is that what you really mean to say? In other words, treat your friends like your friends. Think about their intention when they speak to you. Please don't be on the defensive when you're on these social media channels, unless you're going to one that intentionally is meant to rev you up. And I've already talked about stop watching those. The politics that we're going into as we head into the election brings this to mind, and I'm going to say it again. I don't need to watch the current Republican candidate. I don't need to. He's a criminal. I'm ashamed that he's even allowed to run, let alone run for a federal office, let alone run for the highest federal office. And I know his ideas. I don't need to watch him anymore. He's not going to say anything that's going to change my opinion about him or his running mate, that I think they're hopeless, okay? So I'm not watching their channels because why should I upset myself? There isn't going to be change there. That platform is totally hostile to me. Okay, so no, I'm watching the Democrats and trying to instill hope in myself. The point is, intention matters. And you don't go to watch someone you like and you trust who you think is going to entertain you and then get all bent out of shape. And when you're talking to your loved ones, if they make a mistake, you don't just attack them. You realize who they are, that the bigger relationship matters, and inside that context, they probably don't mean to hurt you. So you ask them for an explanation in the nicest way possible. Please, intention matters. And when you're looking at social media, we don't call it idea-driven media for a reason. We call it social media. It's relatively uncensored here in the United States. And we can say pretty much anything we want to say. Okay? So you have to be real about that. And so you don't go following around people who say things consistently that rub you the wrong way. Please use this for what it is intended for. Use it for pleasure. And remember, the people who are posting, and that includes me, our intention matters. I had someone years ago came after the podcast saying something like, oh, privileged white girl, blah, 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 blah. Yes, that's all true. However, the privileged white girl here is sitting here trying to do her best to develop along those lines in a more appropriate way and to care for my listeners and to help them live better lives, even if they think I'm botching mine up. Okay? And I'm doing it for free. You get it for free. Intention matters. Please don't go after us if we're doing a podcast intended to help you. Okay? Intention matters. And this wasn't meant to defend myself, but, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, well. All right. Meanwhile, in Offshoot, well, I got sick this week. You remember last week's epic runs on the weekend where I ran, oh my goodness, Vasquez Rocks and that whole canyon. And then the next day I went out and scorched my feet on the course that I will run for the Be the Light in another 2.5 weeks. Yeah, I really dehydrated myself and I was sick as a dog. Monday I was coughing and sneezing, and I think most of it was dehydration. And my throat was also getting irritated. I was burning candles in the evenings, and I do think that was starting to get to my throat. At any rate, I took a week off and had the cold because I was not going to head into my staycation with a cold, and I won. So finally, I ran again yesterday morning, and it was beautiful. I went out and I ran, and it was walk 5 minutes to warm up, and then it was run 17, walk 1, run 17, walk 1, run 17. So that's pretty hefty, 51 minutes there, and then walked the last 5. So I went out and did over 3 miles. It felt fabulous. I felt fabulous. It was hot. It did get into the mid-70s by the time I stopped, and we're heading into a heat wave. So this morning I didn't get to run because I woke up after it had heated up. I would have been running in 80-degree heat, and I don't do that anymore. Meanwhile, upcoming, of course, we have all the races. Very excited. The Be the Light is on September 21st, a week before CFRX. So when I see you all there, I will be covered in glory. Har, har, har. Fortunately, I will be covered in other things too, because I ordered a special rechargeable light-up cap for my son, a baseball cap with the brim lights up, and you can change the lights. It's very cool. And then for me, I ordered a bunch of, can you believe this, hair bands with batteries. Yes, scrunchies with different colors and batteries. I have not yet experimented with them, but we can wear them on our wrist, and I will be wearing them on my hair and probably on my head and all sorts of things. So we're going to be a little bit glitzed up for the Be the Light, which I'm really looking forward to running with my son. We can't talk my husband into it. We were hoping he would come along and walk it. He's not interested, but the beloved son and I will be doing that. You can see the dates on my other upcoming runs. I will also be doing the Turkey Trot on Thanksgiving morning with College of the Canyons, but that is not on my list yet. They have not yet allowed registration. And I signed up for one, the Mardi Gras, which I keep trying to do and never get to do, and that's in February. The Mardi Gras 5K, which benefits a student organization that helps train students, high school students, for free to run the LA Marathon, which perhaps they shouldn't do, but still. Alrighty. Meanwhile, in the fluffy books, I am now reading, I think it's book number 10 in the Flavia Albius series, Desperate Undertaking. Horrifying but true. The name is a terrible pun. I kept thinking, what a strange name. Well, at night I was listening to India Holton, and now I think I'm listening to one of her earlier books. I was listening to The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. I went back and re-listened to The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. It is hilarious. It is just one-liner after another. And I moved on to its sequel, which is the Gentlewomen's League of Witches, which is rocky in its start, but it settles into its pace once you begin to recognize all the characters. And she does repeat a lot of characters, and it is an awful lot of fun. And she's got a second book in the Ornithologist's Field Guide. I think the series she's calling Academics in Love. Yeah, you know I got to be there for that, right? So anyway, that one is coming out, I want to say in April of 2025, but I hope sooner. Something I really like, you owe me for what I'm about to tell you about. Well, you probably know about it because so many of you are so much more internet savvy than I am. I had heard of this and never did anything about it, but it came home to me forcibly this weekend, and that is Anna's Archive, and the link is in the show notes. This is, as it calls itself, the world's biggest collection of online books, and they're free to download. You can download them in EPUB, which I believe is the format for Amazon's Kindle. You can download a lot of them in PDF, but the archive gives you helpful links to applications that will translate them from one to the other. And that one's amazing, Cloud Convert. That's amazing. You can translate it, like, there's about 200 different ways you can translate these things. It's fabulous. At any rate, from Anna's Archive, you can pay them $8 a month, and you get fast downloads to some ungodly number. Or you can do it for free, but they're very slow. So far, I'm doing it for free, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to start sponsoring them because it's like an online library, frankly. And it's just totally not for profit. They're just trying to keep it going, and you can donate, you can volunteer to work on it. It's mind-boggling, and they cheerfully refer you to other sources for the books. And so they referred me over to a thing called zlib, which you also can join, or you can pay them $17 for, get ready, I think it's 1,000 downloads. You pay as you go. Unbelievable. Okay, how did this happen to me? Well, on Reddit, I have made several friends, and one of them is about my age, and I was giving her some of my patterns for free, and she said, "You're so nice. I've only been crocheting for 3 months," and she's making all these woobles. She makes like one a day, and she's really good. And she suddenly started doing all this other amigurumi, and she said, "Maybe you would like to see some of my books." And I said, "Sure." And she gave me a link to her Google Drive, and she had this astounding collection of amigurumi books. And so I said, well, then you should have my Google link to my drive. And I gave her my patterns. And anyway, turns out there's 3 of us now, and we're exchanging stuff. And so I lost my mind yesterday. I went to Anna's Archive and just looked for all the books. There were 2 books I couldn't get, and I got one of them over at zlib. The one I could not get, I think it's about the fact that it is a collaboration with a franchise. I think they're probably afraid to poke that particular lion, but it is unbelievable. I got all these books from my glory days 10 and 15 years ago, knitting and crocheting, that I didn't even know were still in print. And they may not be, but I found them on the archive. So I've been downloading all these books I'd lost that I wanted back, but I don't want hard copies. I just want them in the library to refer to. It's unbelievable. So yes, I have to tell you, I wanted to get all this stuff done. I wanted to finish my vestuary today, this weekend. No, what I've been doing, seriously, 2 days straight of just downloading books that I thought I was never going to see again. I just love it. Anna's Archive, you have to see it to believe it. Go have a look and go explore all the links that are there. I'm still carrying the Voter Protection Hotline's image in the show notes under something I really like, because you may need to know those numbers for your state. Put a lid on it. Well, you remember the salmon mousse that became a bisque? Well, it used to have a block of cream cheese in it, but I ran out of cream cheese, so I put a cup of sour cream. You know what? Lower carbs and slightly less hardening in the fridge. It's really good. So take the same recipe I gave you previously for that salmon bisque. If you put cream cheese in it and let it harden in the fridge, you get this insanely hard dip that's like a mousse. But if you put sour cream or cream cheese with some heavy whipping cream, you'll get a soup. I have gone through, seriously, about 6 pounds of salmon in the last few weeks. I just love this stuff. I crave this stuff. And I think it's because the salmon is loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, and I'm burning a lot of fat when I run in the heat. And it's liquid, and it's salty. Yeah, everything a girl wants. So put a lid on it. It's just, that salmon mousse or bisque recipe. Try replacing that block, that 8-ounce block of cream cheese with a volume, 1 cup of sour cream, 8 ounces volume, for a slightly lower carb load and for more liquidy texture. If you're in Britain and you add 10 ounces for your cup, because I know you guys do that, just as good. You can't have too much sour cream. Oh, on to the blather. Good heavens, look at us go. So as I said, I killed my throat last weekend and dehydrated myself and got a cold. And so I really struggled through the last week of seeing patients. And it's always like that. You know, as you come up on a major vacation, suddenly you get sick right before the vacation. Of course, at Christmas time, you may remember I got COVID. So I was really terrified. I took a COVID test right away, no COVID. It was just, I think, a cold brought on by all the dehydration. I made myself vulnerable. My kid had some respiratory thing going, and I picked it up. So what did I do? Well, frankly, every morning I soaked myself in Epsom salt to get the magnesium, to get electrolytes back. I ate a ton of the salmon bisque. I drank about a gallon of liquid, any liquid, water or my herbal iced teas, anything I could. And the other thing, I went to bed every night at 9 and got up at 7. And I kicked it in 5 days. I'm feeling much, much better. On Wednesday, I was convinced I was going to have to take Thursday off from work, and I didn't. I woke up Thursday feeling wonderful. At night before I went to bed, I took 2 over-the-counter Benadryl pills and 1 aspirin because I was having problems with a tendon in my knee. And that, of course, was knocking me flat out of sleep, which was good because I needed the sleep. So I managed to survive that, and so yesterday morning I went out on the longest run of my week, on week 8. Is that? Yeah, that's one of the longest runs on my week 8 schedule, and it was just fine. This morning I was going to go out for a 28-minute straight run, because I'm really up to 5K now, and so I realized, yes, I can do that. I'm on week 8 of my 5K schedule, which is only an 8-week schedule. So I think I have, tomorrow is week 8, day 2, and then I have week 8, day 3, and that is go out and run your butt off for 30 minutes. Am I doing 3 miles in 30 minutes? No, but I'm also running a lot of steep uphill and trail, and I feel very powerful. Now, when I went out last weekend, and I ran the Scorch Your Feet path that will be the Light race when I was shamming it last week to see if I could do it, I realized I didn't speed up by a whole lot, but again, I didn't know the course. So unfortunately, it's going to be too hot for me to practice on that course before the 21st for the Be the Light. But I really wish I could, because I really think that I could get faster. I need now to just be on a flat, fast 5K course, and I don't mean a track because they're boring. And I just need to practice speeding up. When you run on trails, you get very particular about not speeding up. But it's really been great. I'm doing these 28-minute runs with no effort at all. I think the longest straight I've run right now is probably, I want to say it's about 27 minutes. So I can't say I'm real worried. I feel really, really strong, and I just can't get over it. And I have to tell you, I didn't feel this good in my 40s or 30s or even my 20s. I feel so strong. I really do have to say, I don't know if it's going to be the keto diet. I think it is, to be honest. I think it's not being a carb burner. I think it's burning fat. I've got energy to spare. I feel great. My weight is great. My health is great. My doctor's really happy. I feel amazing. And I'm sure that the mushroom hot cocoa isn't hurting. No, it's not psilocybin. It's not anything hallucinogenic. It's just simply 10 good nutrition mushrooms with ashwagandha, which is an Ayurvedic medicine. And maybe it's the ashwagandha, I don't know, but I cannot believe how good I am feeling lately. Which is nice, because, I constantly get evidence that not everybody has made it to my age in this kind of shape, that life takes its toll and you can't predict this. This isn't anything like, wow, Gemma, you're a superstar. Everybody could have been like you. It's not true, and I know it. So I'm deeply grateful now when I run. It's a very different experience to be this grateful and to realize how fortunate I am. Okay, meanwhile, back in the community resources, there's a whole section with links. These are the things I love to use that I've talked about in the past on the podcast, the patterns, the pattern books, the resources that I bought to support my knitting, like, knitting labels and all that sort of thing, and the links to skills and techniques that I really like. There's also a link to my personal link tree, which Just makes me feel better that it exists. On the calendar, of course, the usual events in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're local, you can go in there and find the names of our local groups, and they're all on Facebook. In the meantime, on my calendar, it's my Labor Day weekend. Hooray, 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 hooray. So what have I been doing? Well, I can't even tell you about Saturday. I was so exhausted Saturday. Did I run? No, I didn't run Saturday. I wanted to, but I was exhausted. I went to bed at 9 p.m. Friday night, and I woke up at 7:30 Saturday morning, and it was too warm to run, and I didn't mind. And Saturday, I just drifted around being whiffy. I did make Salem the cat, as I told you earlier, and I did spend a lot of time on Reddit, and I really didn't do much else. So, I got up yesterday, and I pulled myself together, and I started doing all the downloads, and I spent the day exploring Anna's Archive, zlib, Cloud Convert, and I just spent a lot of time doing stuff, and I did little business things around the house and started getting myself a little more organized, but I really didn't do a lot. Today was stupendous. Today I got up and I said, okay, it's time to get kicking. And so I got on my project to clean out our pantry, which I like to do when I get these long staycations, which is I do one shelf a day, and that's plenty. Because I empty everything out, I dust it, I get rid of the old food that needs to go, I clean up things, I redistribute things, I really scrub down the shelves and put new liners down, get rid of all the spider webs and all the goo and everything else, and scrub the floor in front of it and everything else. So that was really great. Did the Roombas, serviced the Roombas, got them going again. So that was vacuuming around the house and vacuumed in our big bathroom and, changed the litter box. I actually did that yesterday, but started vacuuming around it and all that. And I will do it again tomorrow because I really want to do a thorough deep cleaning on it and mop it down tomorrow. And so all that is happy. We're having the invasion of the ants that we get as the weather cools down and when it heats up in the spring every year. So we're dealing with that, but I'm just really happy. And in the meantime, I was still working on downloading things today, and I finally got to a place where I think I've downloaded everything I can think of from Anna's Archive, except for books I would like. I started downloading the classic Regency romances by Georgette Heyer, written in the 1940s. I bumped into one of those a few weeks ago and was listening to it at night, The Corinthian, and it was so witty and so funny and not oversexed, because I don't really like a lot of deep sex scenes in books. I get bored. Most of them just aren't written well. You have to be a good writer to pull that off. I'm sorry, but you do. Anyway, and so I've been downloading old Georgette Heyer editions and really enjoying that. And just, like I said, downloading a lot of books I've already bought, but I wanted them in a PDF format. And so I just said, okay, I've already paid for the book, and I can either PDF it myself, or I can do this. Yeah, I chose this, and I'm really happy with it. Okay, so today was an amazing day, and tomorrow I'm hoping to continue the streak. I'm also excited. My birthday is on Wednesday. I've already gotten my birthday cake. We had a slice of it today. My son made it, a keto chocolate layer cake that's absolutely fabulous. And then I bought myself a few things like the glow-in-the-dark stuff for the race, including my son's cap for him. And then I bought myself hiking sticks, which makes me so happy. I practically wept when I opened them tonight. I finally got a pair instead of a single walking stick. And I got Trail Buddies, and they're so cool. And they were only $40. The prices on hiking sticks has gone way down. They used to be $200 a set, which is why I've never had a set. And I paid $80 for my single walking stick that was adjustable and had the pointed end that drove into the ground to hold your camera, to take pictures like a stand, but also to fight off Rottweilers who try to kill your German Shepherd. Just saying, things that have happened to me on the trail. Okay, and now you can get really well-made hiking sticks, a pair for $40, adjustable. They've got snow baskets, mud baskets. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So that's been very exciting. And the birthday presents are just sort of slowly happening around me. So my older sister sent me a mini fridge, a $50 mini fridge. Again, these things are so much cheaper than they used to be. A little cube. And that's great. I asked for that when I had COVID so that I could have cold things in the bedroom with me. So we haven't plugged it in, but we know it will be the quarantine refrigerator for anybody who has to self-quarantine now. So that was exciting. And my very dear friend Quandam Quadrat gave me 3 crochet books, 2 crochet books that I really wanted, and then a crochet blocking board. Bless you, Carla. So it's been very exciting. Okay, meanwhile, back to the calendar. The Be the Light, of course, is September 21st, Saturday evening. CFR 10, Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia on September 28th. And the information is in the show notes. The Monster Dash is coming up on October 26th. The Santa Clarita Marathon, which has a 10 and a 5K. Foolishly, I signed up for the 10. I kind of wish I'd signed up for the 5. You never know. I can walk it. I can make it. I can probably run it at this point, but it won't be pretty. Okay, and then there's a turkey trot up at College of the Canyons on Thanksgiving morning. And, of course, I have Thanksgiving November 28th through December 1st off. And Romule, December 21st to at least December 30th, but it might go through to the 1st. We'll see how that goes. Minerva gets the last word. Minerva, in that picture, she is stay-catting, as in staycationing done by a cat. She would like you to know that she is with me on my staycation. She is stay-catting with me, and it is a very good thing, and she is very relaxed and happy in that picture. That is the feline version of how I feel right now. I am so excited. I'm trying not to get hyperactive about CFRX because I always get too wound up and too excited, and then I have such a great time. And I hope you're all going to have a great time too. We still have room if you would like to come. And again, we have our vendors coming, Oink and Lisa Knits. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the other vendor. Laser Sheep, there we go. Hooray! Sorry about that. And they're coming. I know, I knew I would do that. I knew I would blank. They're all coming. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to have such a good weekend. And we're going to take over the hotel with our spinning wheels and do all the good things. So I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my next race, which I do not expect to sham. I have shammed it, but I expect to actually run the Be the Light. And life is very beautiful here. I hope it's beautiful where you are. Remember, though, we are a community. Please get all your shots, especially if you're coming to CFR. I need to get my flu shot this week. But remember, what you do for the community, you are doing for yourself and for your family. When the community is healthy, we all are healthy. In that light, please, everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.